that's the number one area of concern I have entering the offseason, and where I just do not believe we will see this insane growth spurt like we did in 2022.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays. From game analysis to player interviews, we've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It's your boy, Evan Closky.
Back again, and we appreciate it, bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you are a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Double-A days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
Every season up till 2024 that we've been doing the show, they've gone to the playoffs. But, hey, there's still baseball going on. Evan knows that as the Mets are in the playoffs. Still gives you an excuse to grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to win $50 instantly when you just play $5 in your lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
All right, before we get into a discussion on the Rays, the topic du jour will be, will the team be better in 2025 and maybe make the playoffs, or will the team be bad or mid and miss the playoffs again? But before we get into that, Evan, just got to get your thoughts on your dearly beloved Mets making the playoffs and winning a World Series, perhaps. Is that in the cards?
Probably not, because it's the New York Mets. So, look, a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. But, I had to do what I had to do. I am the mush king. I do believe in the reverse jinx. And yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I not only bet the Braves to enter the day, but then when the Mets went up 6-3 in the 8th inning, I bet the Braves again at plus 400. So I had to corner the clouds that be and say, if you're going to hold the Mets out of the playoffs, I'm going to make a boatload of money off of you. To which the powers that be decided, you know what? We'd rather you lose money. So, look, money well spent. But, yeah, I don't have – I mean, I will say these playoffs seem wide open. I don't know who is going to emerge this year. Honestly, Detroit has every opportunity being one of the hottest teams right now in baseball. So, it's nice being there. They have a shot. I'm not expecting much, but, as every Mets fan will tell you, you kind of just expect the worst and hope for the best.
I think spend lots of money to just inch into the playoffs there. Keep going before we get into the Rays. If you were to be a betting man and say, I'm going to lay all my cards on one team to win the whole thing, out of these 12 teams, who are you most bullish on? Is it the Tigers or is it somebody else?
Let me just take a look at the bracket here very quickly before I say, if I had to go all in on one team, Philadelphia Phillies. I think it's their time, right? They made it all the way to the World Series a couple of years ago. Last year fell a little bit short. They got a lot of those pieces still intact. I think they got great pitching. Little bit concerned about the back of the bullpen, but overall, they have the hitting that will get it done against some of the best pitching in the world. And it just smells like in a year with so much parity that it's going to be the team that has been there for a while. So if I had to make my guess, I would say the Phillies, though I love this Padres team. I think they can absolutely make a run. And coming out of the AL, I will still pick Houston because they just always find a way, and it's annoying.
Yeah. That is
So
true.
what I'm hearing is if you're the City of Philadelphia Public Works Department, you need to start greasing light poles pronto to avoid the
that,
situation.
that would be a way to go. God, I'm so happy to see the Royals and the Tigers back in the playoff picture. Like, it's just nice to see new teams here and there.
Refreshing.
So I think it just keeps things fresh. I really hope nothing but the best for those two fan bases. But Evan, let's get into nuts and bolts here.
Yeah.
We were talking. What could we talk about this topic Tuesday? I think this is a fantastic idea from you. What do you think? Why do you think the team is going to be better in 2025, or in what ways can you see the team missing the playoffs again? So the first question is: do you want to go positive or negative first?
I'll leave that up to you guys. Do you want to? Which route do you want to take?
I think we need to pick people up at the end of the episode.
Got it. Yeah.
So let's hit them with the hard truths and the negatives right off the bat. So in your podium, what's the number one reason why this team in 2025 would miss the playoffs again?
They're not going to hit enough home runs. I think that they can make a lot of gains in areas where they were deficient in 2024. But the hardest commodity to grab on the open market without spending a ton of money and negotiating your defense in the process are home runs. They're not cheap. And I just think that the Rays are still going to be a below average team in that home run department. I will say it felt like a lot of balls died at warning tracks this year, more so in the beginning, in the first half of the year than the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there were some ball adjustments that were going on because home runs were down across the board in Major League Baseball by a pretty significant margin. But they just don't have that go-to guy, Brandon Lau being the closest to it. But it's pretty clear at this point that Lau, who I do believe – and where I think I was wrong entering the season, but where I do believe, considering how the season went, will get his option picked up, and they will just have to prepare for life without him during the season, understanding that he's unlikely to play 145 games. So your best home run threat next to Junior Caminero, who we think could be a 30 home run guy next year. I'm not going to put that on him in his first full year as a Major League Baseball player, but your most experienced home run hitter probably can pencil him in for, you would hope, 100 games, and whatever you get after that's a bonus. Mm-hmm. That's still like good for 20-ish home runs, but if you played a full season, you probably get 30 out of him. So that's the number one area of concern I have entering the offseason, and where I just do not believe we will see this insane growth spurt like we did in 2022. Like we did in 2023, going from 2022, where just a lot of things work together. And not to mention you had guys like Wander, who was healthy, Luke Raley, who was a nice addition. So there were just some reasons why 22 to 23 improved. Whereas I don't think you're going to see that as much from 24 to 25. There will probably be improvement, just not significant amount.
We've got more on this topic, but first we have to tell the audience something very important, and that is PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? Well, it's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And it's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. So your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. So just a couple cool of the many features of PrizePicks. And we also want to let you know this about PrizePicks. God, I should be going on there right now. I need to win some money. But you can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So good, I'll repeat it again. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
So, staying in the negative, and again, I understand. Look, I don't know how to even say this, Evan, but you're in the biz, okay? You get quotes from people that are on the field, that people that do construction of these rosters, people that own the team. So I don't think it should be a surprise to you if I say, as a fan, 98% of the quotes that we usually hear pregame, postgame, after a season, before a season, are very bland. They're very non-committal. And so the quote that we have from Eric Neander, he said, "It wouldn't surprise me if we do very little this offseason. It wouldn't surprise me if we do a lot. But there will be a desire to win games at a more frequent clip than we did this year. And also to make sure that in the process, we're continuing to strengthen ourselves for having some really optimistic seasons in the near future." Word salad that basically it's a nothing. Each statement basically washed each other out.
It's an AI generated.
Yeah, they made it a chat GPT beforehand.
It's a chat GPT. So my question to you, Evan, is what should Rays fans get from that quote, if anything?
You know what the Rays fans will have to understand, and they know what's coming in the offseason because the Rays are always making moves. Now, I will say, and the more important quotes, I think that you have to go back to Neander at the trade deadline and what he said. And he said then, we did a lot, we got ahead in our work. So a lot of moves that we essentially were expecting to make at the end of the season and you know, during winter meetings and whatever, we did them midseason. So there might be a little less movement in the offseason this year because they already did all their movements at the trade deadline, right? They moved Randy. They, the whole laundry list.
Yeah.
Eflin and whatever, so on and so forth. You know what, we've talked about it. But those are the quotes that you should really go back and listen to because it signals that they have some flexibility. The payroll is going to be low. And I'm not saying that they're going to get Juan Soto. Never. Only, and by the way, I even see a few tweets and that stuff. Like, only a small handful of teams actually have the money or the willingness to spend the money on a guy like Juan Soto. But, so I'm not saying that they're going to drop 50 per year on somebody. But they definitely have the money to bring in someone. This goes back to my, my fun Bo Bichette conversation with you guys. They definitely have the money to take on some salary in the short term.
Yes. So
they used to take on salary by adding a starting pitcher, $10 million a year, whether it was Waka or Morton or Kluber or I'm missing someone in that range. But, they've done this a lot before. They've weaned off of it because they've actually gotten pretty deep in their staff. They can bring that back now from an offensive standpoint. So, yeah, it's a nothing burger. So I don't really want to I can't really give the Rays fans kind of like what they should deduce from that. It's just like, historically speaking, the Rays are going to be active. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have plenty of conversations and maybe make one move and call it good.
Yeah.
Maybe make one move, tinkering the roster, make one significant signing, and that's it. And they run it back in factoring in the couple of tinkers they do. So I don't want it to be like they're going to do nothing and enter. They will do something. Right. But there are many routes, and I'm sure throughout this offseason, you all will talk about it. I might jump on an episode from here or there, but there's pick up the option for Brandon Lau and trade him. There's the what do we do if we trade Yandy Diaz route. There's a what do we do if we trade a starting pitcher route? Do we dangle one of our younger guys who's promising and see if someone's willing to overpay and, give us something of significant value? There's a lot of question marks out there. So they are in a really good position, just like in the trade deadline, really good position to listen. Doesn't mean they need to act, but I'm sure the Rays will do their due diligence because that's what they always do.
Kind of tying into all that, in terms of this team needs to hit more home runs. Mm-hmm. I guess one of the questions is, how many more home runs do they need to hit from this season to next season? Is it fair to say that they need to kind of hover around the middle of the pack of the league? They can't be 28th, but somewhere between 15 to 20.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think if you can be league average, that would be incredible, considering the Rays hit 147 home runs this past season. That was third to last. Only the White Sox and the Nationals hit less home runs than the Rays. Let me go through the bottom 10 with you. The White Sox, the Nationals, the Rays, the Marlins, the Blue Jays, the Pirates, the Tigers, the Cardinals, the Angels, and then there's a tie with the Royals and the Cubs. And technically they're the bottom 11. So you don't even have to consider. What I'm getting at is you don't hear many playoff teams, right?
Out of the 11 you mentioned, only 2 are going into the playoffs.
Correct. Yeah. So now, you get the league average. That would be 179 homers. That would be a growth of 32 homers. That would be a growth of 32 guaranteed runs. That's not even accounting for the fact that not all of them are going to be solo. So let's just say, conservatively speaking, adding 32 homers is going to produce you at 45 RBI. Again, conservative, 45 RBI. By adding 45 RBI to a team that played more than half of their games within one run seems pretty significant.
Yes.
And that's the difference between an 80-win team and potentially like an 87, 88, 89 win team. And the Rays are always going to play in those small margins. We've gotten used to it. But and to be honest, the Rays were stellar in the small margins. Not so much maybe with 2 runs when they were trailing, but within 1 they were. So that just gives you a little inkling of what league average does for them. And how with that pitching staff, man, that works wonders.
And that's the question, is how we're going to get that additional 32, 33.
Well, just look at the top.
One player or a mix of players, or guys being better than they were previously.
Look at the top home run hitters of this year, and it's Lau with 21, Siri with 18, and then 2 guys that you traded, and then Yandy Diaz with 14. I mean, where are you getting those 34? You said 34, right? Where are you getting those
32?
Where are you getting those 32 home runs from?
Let me tell you where you're getting those 32 from. His name is Junior Caminero, right? You got 6 or 7 from him this year?
Let me get him right.
Yeah, but then you're subtracting. You got to subtract Paredes and Randy's.
Exactly.
Well, so here we go. If we want to play this game, the Isak had how many home runs?
He had 16.
16.
Third on the team.
Let's say Junior Caminero should be able to hit 25 in a season. All right.
Next season?
What?
Next season?
Next season, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I mean, is that a crazy take? He came up at the end, midway through August, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so times, if you multiply he's got to be fully healthy.
Right.
But I can't predict injuries. But he had 6 home runs through, 6 weeks of the year?
43 games.
43 games?
Yeah.
So multiply that by 4, you got 24 home runs. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that crazy that a guy who is facing major league pitching for the first time in that stint still hits 6, and if you multiply it by 4, you're getting to 25. Imagine what he does if he's getting into a full swing of it, gets more comfortable. So again, I believe he's a 30-plus homer guy. I think he can do that next season. But if you want to be more conservative, 20, then it really comes down to the bet that Eric Neander took on Christopher Morel. Because if you want to wipe away the East Sox stuff, then you got to put Morel, let's just put him out in left field. He's a 25 home run guy. And he's proven he can do that. I don't know why his power shut off in Tampa. That's a significant question that, to me, the Rays have to ask themselves.
Right.
Why did Morel lose his power when he came to us? What are we doing? And I think that there's, philosophically speaking, as I said, I think personnel is a pretty big issue, but there are philosophically some issues with this hitting team, and they got to look long and hard in the mirror and ask themselves if we're doing what's best by our hitters to make sure that we're given the best chance to score some runs. Because
AKA not bringing back Chad Mottola.
It's a question they got to ask, and I'm on record and I stay with it. I don't necessarily know if Mottola should be canned this offseason. Certainly would not disagree with the move if they do it. And if they do bring him back, I would not yell bloody murder as well. But if they bring Mottola back, he is on the hot seat in 2025. No excuses. I don't care. It's either you produce, this lineup produces, or they don't, and you got to go. Like this is like, you go through, and we did a long time ago, the WRC Plus. He's been very consistent, but it's been down, up, down. So if you have another down year, it's time for a new voice. It just is. It's time for a new voice. So we'll see. But it is for sure a year where Mottola, like his job is on the line if he does not get fired this offseason.
You know what never has a down year? It's Game Time, folks. Game Time, because look, whatever you want, you can want concert tickets, theater tickets, soccer tickets, baseball tickets. Guess what? Game Time has it all. And my favorite part is the seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. That is a super cool trick. And they have Game Time ticket coverage, which means that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So today, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Gentlemen, what time is it?
Game time.
That's right, babes. That's right.
We also want to tell you something else very important, and that is FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. That is America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place those bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So good, I'll repeat it again. Get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Where's that at? That is FanDuel.com.
So there has to be a way that Rays fandom can know what they are expecting, because on one side you hear, hey, they actually offered Aaron Judge $300 million. Hey, they offered Freddie Freeman so-and-so many dollars, and they came in second. And Marcell Ozuna, they came in second. And we've been just stockpiling these silver medals for nothing. Okay. Are they able to get these guys? And if they are, wouldn't we also shouldn't we expect that they also go after a generational talent like Juan Soto? Or is that just never in the cards? The Freddie Freemans, the Aaron Judges, and the Juan Sotos, they're just never in the cards.
Marcell Ozuna.
Juan Soto is not. I wouldn't put Juan Soto in like any of those categories. I'd put Juan Soto in the Bryce Harper, Manny Machado sort of ilk. Like, you don't usually get kids this young, this successful, hitting free agency. And no, Juan Soto is just not in the cards. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's cool to hear those reports. It's notable. It's worth telling everybody. but it doesn't mean crap until they sign someone. So that's just also the other side too. It's great that they're in the mix. Cool. Don't care unless you finish the job.
Exactly.
So as we can, I think it's worthy to report, worthy to also say that it doesn't matter until you prove that what you say is not just some, frivolous act. But it took like a couple of years for the Judge news to pop up. So it's not like the Rays are trying to use it as like this front to tell the fan base, oh, we're like, look, we were so close. We were in the running. Like, they're not doing that, right? They didn't parade the Judge news around. It kind of trickled out randomly during an interview when Judge came to town. So I also don't want to hear like that side of it if people think it's just an act. If it was an act, more people would know about it in real time. So I think they have flexibility. It's certainly not going to be someone like Juan Soto. And it needs to be someone who's probably short term. As I said, like a 1+1 type deals. That's all I'm looking at. Chandler Simpson, Carson Williams, Xavier Isaac and Braden Taylor, like those guys, at least 2 years away. I don't think they're coming up anytime soon. But really, the two most notable guys you need to keep tabs of are Chandler Simpson and Carson Williams, because I think Chandler Simpson has the ability to join the Rays sometime midway through next season. And I also think Carson Williams, if there's a playoff type hunt, maybe we see him in September sort of deal.
Without playing in AAA this year, you really think Chandler Simpson could get the call-up in the middle of next year?
Yes, because his speed is that much of a game changer. I think you can it's like, who cares if he's a little bit slow with the bat, right? Like if he gets on base, it could be a triple. And so his speed is an ultimate game changer, and it might come at a position that they're of need, considering we don't know what DeLuca is going to be. We don't know what Morel's going to be. We don't know what Josh Lowe's going to be. I'm optimistic on Josh Lowe. I think he's part of the positives that Josh Lowe's going to be better. But certainly 2025, just like for Chad Mottola, if he returns, 2025 is a big year for Josh Lowe.
Yes.
Who are you? Exactly. Was 2023 or was 2024 a byproduct of injuries, personal issues at home? Or was 2023 an aberration? So that's what 2025 is going to tell us. I lean towards Josh Lowe performing. It seems like every time he's gotten knocked down, he's always gotten back up. So I'll bet on him.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy to bet on. Now, having said that, he's not a good defender, and that's a problem. But they'll figure that out. But yeah, like if people think that, hey, we need to spend money on a shortstop outside of the year, it's just not a smart move, because Carson Williams will be your shortstop in 2026. Like, book it. Despite anything crazy happening, Carson Williams is going to be your shortstop in 2026. So you don't want to logjam him. Like they already have a logjam with Trey Morgan and Xavier Isaac coming up, right? So, and they're already tinkering out with Morgan maybe going to left field. So that you have a lot of really good hitting prospects who are 1, 2, 3 years away. You're not going to invest long-term money into free agency. You're like, this team is getting built for 2026, 2027, kind of when the new trop's going to open.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just sort of the long-term picture. But again, and quickly, because I know we're running out of time, but quickly to the positives.
No, wait. For that, Evan, can we have you back for a positive-only episode? Because we just had a lot to say for this.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, we'll have to save that next week. I think, because we're running long here. And I'll say this, yes, we focus mainly on negatives today, but also adding some issue is you're always going to have seemingly a tough division, and Baltimore, Boston, Toronto, the Yankees, they're probably going to make some kind of move or have some pressure to try to get better and improve on what they did this past season, and that's always a challenge that you have to contend with.
If the Yankees get Soto, I mean, this is going to be the next 10 years a very difficult 1-2 punch to have to face Judge and Soto for 13 games.
And very quickly, I mean, the Blue Jays look like a team that is going to need some rebuilding to some extent. The Orioles are looking like a team that needs to really capitalize on the talent they have. They, like the Rays, have seen many a years prior, ran into some really ugly injuries, especially with the arms, and it affected their trajectory this year. They're going to enter the playoffs. They're young. They have a wonderful lineup. I think they can absolutely make it to the World Series, win a World Series, but the pitching's a concern, and a lot of injuries are a reason why. So, Orioles are going to be around a long, long time. The Yankees, they got to figure some things out. As it was high, then it was super low, then it was kind of like high low. I don't know what to make of them. They'll always be there based on just if they lose Soto, if Soto goes to the Mets, for example, the Yankees
I would love that.
I mean, I'm just saying, Steve Cohen versus Hal. Hal is much stingier than his father. He just spent a bunch of money on Judge. And I don't know if the Mets are going to present a 5 in front of that number and the Yankees don't go there. Now, I agree. I had to take a guess he's going to return to the Yankees. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
No, I don't think so either. And besides, we have Evan Closky, who has Uncle Steve's phone number, and you can text him and be like, "Hey, for Rays fandom, could you please, do something here with Soto?"
So I like that will be to be determined, because with Soto, yes, I think they're a problem. Without Soto, I think you're going to look at another team that is the 2023 version of the Yankees. And then the Red Sox are a team that their pitching way overperformed at the beginning of the year. You saw it come back down to earth in the second half of the year. But they're a team that you got to watch out for. Maybe not in 2025, but probably when the Rays are surging. Like the Rays and Boston both have just stellar farm systems. And the Red Sox have a very top-heavy group that's about to break into the bigs. So I got my eye on them, but I just don't know if they're going to be ready to hit the ground running next season. But they're coming. They're definitely coming.
Is kind of fun to think about it being a heated, worthwhile, meaningful rivalry again. Just butting heads and playing for the playoffs because the Red Sox haven't really been able to do that the last few years.
Well, and the Rays just got to go beat the White Sox 6 times next year, and let's talk.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Evan, you are the man. Greatest sportscaster in Tampa Bay history. That should be well known by now. How can people find your wonderful work?
You can head to 10tampabay.com. Like, we're fully into the Buck season right now. You can also head to 10 Tampa Bay Plus. You can head to our 10 Tampa Bay YouTube page, and you can head to @eClosky WTSP on the X. And you can hit me up with your Rays questions. Love hearing from you. Love answering your questions. And as long as you're not a jerk, I will respond.
Sometimes with a little bit of a twinge of sarcasm, and I love those tweets. So thank you for that.
Look, don't take it personal. It's just fun.
No, just a little fun.
Just a little fun. Just a little fun. Ulysses understands that.
Thank you.
I give him the heat too.
Hey,
equal opportunity in my snarkiness. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, but Rays fan 1287489 _, does not understand it.
He does not understand it. He gets very upset.
Yeah, it's my bad.
How dare you, man?
That might be something. In addition to getting to a positive angle of why this team could be better in 2025, might have to do a Closky mailbag edition on the show at some point.
I like that.
Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen every day. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Soli, our buddy, who has it all covered every single day. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.